Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wee Ood, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. My name is Ben, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host Cam. How you doing today, Cameron?
It's a hard day, Ben. It's a hard day. I'll say that. After watching, because like always, you watch them so early.
I've watched this like 2 weeks ago, and you just finished watching it now.
It wasn't a fun experience. I'll say that. So that has kind of dampened my mood a lot
Yeah.
today. I was having a pretty good day, and then I had to watch Curse of Peladon. Not Curse of Peladon. Sorry, much better story. Monster of Peladon. I meant to say. Not feeling great, Ben. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. I've been able to repress my memory of Monster of Peladon a little bit, so I'm in a little bit of a better shape. Outside of that, things are going, things they go. So I guess let's get started. So, like we said, we're doing the Monster of Peladon today.
Sadly.
Yeah, which was originally broadcast between March 23rd, 1974 and April 27th, 1974.
Good job. We're Americans.
Yes.
USA.
USA. And of course, this is the penultimate episode of John Pertwee's era. Exciting stuff. One more to go. That sucks that season 11 has not been a banger.
No. We'll talk about this more at Planet of the Spiders episode. But definitely I think it's pretty easy to say this is his worst season by a pretty big gap. One Invasion of the Dinosaurs is a highlight of the season. It's rough.
Yeah, kind of sucked, but yeah.
This was directed by Lenny Main, who previously he did Curse of Peladon, so he's back, and then he also did The Three Doctors. Brian Hales wrote this, who of course is the creator of the Ice Warriors, and this is his last story for Doctor Who.
What are your thoughts, Cam?
So my overall thoughts of Curse of Peladon is, like you already could imagine, I did not like this. I was not a fan of Curse of Peladon. I kind of just thought that story was okay, which definitely makes me say that the story is dog shit. This is just Curse of Peladon again, but instead now it's six parts, and also everything is less interesting, and it just has no reasons for me to care throughout the majority of its way too long runtime. There's not a lot of highlights to this story. It's mostly just a blur in my head, even though I just watched it. What did you think of it, Ben?
Yeah, it was rough. I liked Curse of Peladon more than you, and maybe I like this one more than you. I still don't like it though. The first three parts, the first half of the story in particular, is mind-numbingly boring.
Yeah, like
Once the Ice Warriors show themselves, it picks up a little bit, but having them just be generic evil bad guy again, kind of harkening back to what they were in Troughton instead of what they were in Curse, makes them just inherently less interesting.
1000%.
There's some interesting ideas with like there's a caste system of the miners and the nobles, going against the establishment, but then ultimately having to unite against a greater foe. That's kind of interesting. That's about it.
And then, of course, like the other political thing here is they bring back like the way that Peladon views the two sexes and women in particular with the queen. And then, of course, we have Sarah Jane, who is much more of a feminist.
Oh yeah.
And then Sarah Jane bringing the more modern feminism ideologies to Peladon and the Queen of Peladon. Even though, like again, I don't think it's that interesting. Even though it's something that sounds better on paper than in execution, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's mostly boring. That's the biggest thing about this serial, which is never good to say about anything that's any medium of art.
Oh, sure, sure.
Like just saying it's boring is not good.
Yeah, I guess to start, this is basically just a rehash of a lot of the ideas from Peladon, right? From Curse of Peladon.
Yeah, but not interesting. I think that personally, the Queen is a real big downgrade from the King, played by Michael Troughton in Curse of Peladon. Michael Troughton has charisma, which this actress that plays the queen in this story has none of. I think she's a really bad actress.
Really?
And I was just bored of tears by her performance personally.
I don't think she was that bad. Character-wise, I thought she was more interesting than, King Peladon, but yeah, she definitely isn't the best actor.
I just think that Michael brought more charisma to that pot for me to care about the character, and that like she's just so wooden in my opinion for her performance that I did not care about the Queen of Peladon as much as I cared about the King and Curse. And like you said, it's doing that same thing again, but it's less interesting because of like we have that twist in Peladon that no, the Ice Warriors aren't the bad guys at the end of the day.
Which I think is one of the highlights of Curse of Peladon,
Yeah,
where you already go into it with this mindset of all their appearances in the Troughton era, where they're established as these very evil bad guys. And now, oh, they have a little bit more cultural aspects to them. They aren't just evil and want to invade everybody and everything.
yeah,
And I think this feels much closer to something from that era where they're evil just 'cause they wanna invade and be in control of Peladon just 'cause. Although they do establish that this is specifically a sect. This isn't the main Ice Warriors, they're not all like that.
yeah.
But it's a very offhand thing. It makes it, just innately less interesting.
Yeah, and of course, like the big difference between this and Curse of Peladon is the length. Curse is only a four-potter, and when this is a six-potter. We even mentioned in the Curse of Peladon episode that we did that that story would probably not work as a six-potter, and that one of the best things about that episode was that it was a four-potter. This being a six-potter does not have the pacing of Curse, which really hurts it in a lot of areas. It's very slow and dully paced,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have a lot of momentum.
If it was 4 parts, it would be better.
Yeah, but it would still like 4 pots would make it even more of like feel like the same exact story.
Yeah.
Because like if this was a 4-potter, like would the Ice Warriors come in episode 2 at the end?
Maybe. Ideally, they would come in as soon as possible because 'cause they're the most interesting thing about the story, which is saying a lot. Is there something about this story that you think, like, killed the Ice Warriors? Is there somewhere in here, is there a reason why it took them 40 years to come back?
I think probably it being the last Brian Hale story added to that
Oh, yep.
because there must have not been a lot of people there that wanted to. Of course, they were gonna come back at one point. Season 23, before it got turned to trial, the Time Lords had an Ice Warrior story, but of course that wasn't made. We have that. I think it's Mission to Magnus, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Mission to Magnus.
And that story is on there's a novelization of that and there's a big finish of that story. I've heard that it's not supposed to be good. Um,
Well,
'cause it's supposed to be like the sequel to, one of Colin Baker's best stories, Vengeance on Varos. I think I did listen to a part of that story actually, now that I remember, the Big Finish adaptation, but I did not finish it, if I remember correctly.
wow. When we get to the tail end of the Sixth Doctor, maybe we should listen to some of those lost stories of the
Yeah.
season 23 that never was.
Yeah. But like this doesn't help them coming back because this is a very boring story. Like it's hard that now that with the Peladon stuff, it's like, all right, if we're gonna bring back the Ice Warriors, are we gonna have it be more of Ice Warrior story or we're gonna have it be a Federation Peladon story? I kind of actually would be interested to see a Federation Ice Warriors story set on a world that's not Peladon,
Mhm.
experiencing another world with the Federation and having to deal with another world's like dealings with the Federation and stuff, just like how Peladon is, but with a different world and a different set of politics and stuff. I think that could have been interesting, but instead, what we got here was just the same exact thing over again, but not as interesting as we mentioned before.
It's definitely maybe a similar problem to the Daleks, where at this point, just don't know what to do with them, where you're just kind of rehashing the same thing again.
Yeah, it's hard because like I wonder this originally was titled Return to Peladon. I'm kind of curious like what the behind the scenes are like for this because was this commissioned as another Ice Warriors story or was Barry Letts and Terrence Sticks like we liked Curse of Peladon so much we want to do a sequel to that? I'm curious. Or they just went to Brian Hales and he was just like, I want to make another Peladon. And they're like, okay, fine. It could also, like, honestly, it probably could have been a production thing that they didn't have enough money. So they said, oh, we have some of the Peladon stuff,
Yeah, it could be.
which probably could make sense. But yeah, it's a shame because the Ice Warriors are cool. There's a lot of interesting stuff there that they could do with the Ice Warriors, but instead we just got the same thing over again. Yeah, it did. This watching this did make me go. I kind of want to rewatch. I haven't seen Empress of Mars in a long time. I recently rewatched Cold War, so I kind of want to go back to Empress of Mars.
Do the Ice Warriors, are they good in the future?
Mark Gatiss wrote both episodes, which would be doing his book Last of the Grenadine. I'm probably butchering that.
Gatorine, I would pronounce it.
Gadarene, however you pronounce it. Let's say Gadarene. We're gonna be doing that book in a couple of episodes from now as our expanded media dipping a toe of John Pertwee before we move on to Tom Baker. And he's a big fan of the Ice Warriors, so he brought them back in 2013 for Cold War, and they did the sequel story to that, Empress of Mars, for Capaldi. I like Cold War. I don't love Cold War. And Empress of Mars is fun, but I don't really remember that much. So I'm curious to how I think about going back to it.
Mhm.
It's been a while since I watched that story.
Oh, I guess I'll have to look forward to them. In my mind, the Ice Warriors were like the below Daleks and Cybermen, one of the most noteworthy classic monsters.
Like it has a great design, and then as well as them being from Mars is a cool idea. Actually, having Martians, like green Martians, is a fun twist. And having them be like this warrior race is cool, like the Suntans. But yeah, I think that this is probably my least favorite of the Ice Warriors stories. I think I even prefer the Ice Warriors and I always get confused. I'm gonna say Seeds of Death. Yes, it's Seeds of Death. I always Seeds of Death and Seeds of Doom Ben. I always mix them up because their names are so fucking similar. I always go like, don't say the wrong one. Don't say the wrong one. I didn't say the wrong one.
Yep.
I think I prefer those stories to this. I think this is their weakest outing in the classic and even new show, just Doctor Who in general. Kind of curious, the new Virgin New Adventures do have a Peladon story, so I'm kind of curious how that would be like.
I was gonna. There's a Peladon book. There's also a bunch of big Finish Peladon stories as well. Does between this and Curse, are you interested in seeing more of this civilization? Does it
God no.
capture your imagination? And like, I really want the Peladon box set.
I think I've had enough Peladon for my lifetime, Ben. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I don't find it that interesting to be honest. Even though that I respect Curse more now after watching Monster. I don't really love Peladon as a setting that much.
Yeah, there are some interesting ideas.
Yeah.
That could be said about anything, though. One thing that really in this story I thought was funny, they always make a point of showing the secret doors open and close every single time. And I don't know why it's a secret door behind the banister when there's so much traffic going in and out. Like, why isn't there just a door? Like the mines aren't some secret that needs to be kept. It's just, yep, they're down there. Why have a whole pull the torch, pull up the torch? Seems very silly. Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening to what else can we talk about?
So there is that the doctor dies twice in this story. What do you think of that?
He died? Or I know, I guess he is thought to be dead.
There's two times where the Sarah Jane goes, "Fuck, the doctor's dead."
Yeah.
And it's never like of course we know because it's like we know this isn't his regeneration story, but I feel like even at the time you would go like fucking bullshit. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like real deaths.
It doesn't feel like the death of John Pertwee.
No, it feels like it reminds me a lot of like, remember when Chewbacca died in Rise of Skywalker?
No.
Exactly. It's such a cop out death in Rise of Skywalker. I remember somebody in my theater going, "No!" And I was just like, just thinking to myself, like, "There's no way Chewie dies that way because they would never kill a character off that like unceremonially. They would give it more panache than just like killing them off and be like, all right, goodbye." But there's two times in this story where Sarah Jane goes, "Oh, the doctor's dead," and you're just going, "Sarah, why is it not? This is like your fourth adventure now. You should know that the doctor the doctor's not gonna be dead."
Well, they needed a cliffhanger for episode 4. So, oh no, the doctor.
And then, like, was the last one a tease? Did this general public know already that Pertwee was leaving, so they kind of teased it for the last one?
I don't know.
Because that's the one that Sarah Jane fully cries. Remember,
Yeah.
she fully thinks that, oh god, the doctor's fucking dead. I wonder if that was kind of like they were kind of baiting the audience, going, "Oh, actually, we're gonna come off this week."
Yeah, it could be mentally preparing the audience for the inevitable.
Yeah,
Like the doctor's not invincible. Although he kind of, because he's actually fine. He was just sleeping. One thing I did notice, speaking of him dying, there's a big action scene in episode 4, end of episode 4, where he's fighting one of the miners, and there's a very obvious stunt double. I don't know if you picked up on that.
yeah,
In a wig, a bad wig. According to the TARDIS wiki, at this point, John Pertwee was having a lot of chronic back problems, so they had Terry Walsh filling in whenever possible. So between that could probably have something to do with him wanting to leave the show.
good old Terry Walsh. Thank you for your service, Terry Walsh. I gotta mention, Ben. I've been seeing a lot like online. Like I was reading some stuff about like the past couple of stories online, and some people don't like Pertwee and Elizabeth Sladen's relationship. What do you think of their chemistry at this point? Because now we're like, we're towards the end of their relationship together. Do you like their relationship together? Do you think there's something up there that's kind of not fully working for you? Like, what's your opinions on that?
Yeah, I would say maybe it's just because I'm not used to it, and I will never get used to it. But it's something just feels off. There are a lot of times where, it feels like he's just talking to Joe, but it's not Joe. It's this other woman, and he tries to be like, I guess, like playfully mean at times. Pull her ear, pinch her cheek, and it just always feels weird.
It does.
And like, why are you being why are you being a jerk?
They don't have that father-daughter relationship like he does with Joe,
No.
and it's like, it's nothing wrong with it's not like a Liz Slade, I'm sorry. It's not like a Liz Shaw situation that, like, it's just like, "Oh, no, that character doesn't work with the doctor because she's like she would know too much, so the doctor like, it doesn't really work with the doctor."
No, I think she's a good companion. I just don't think she's a good fit for Pertwee's doctor.
Like, you can tell, like, Liz is a great actress, and she's playing the part great, and, like, Sarah Jane's a great character. It's just like, there is something there that's just like, there's something off about this.
Yeah, it never feels natural or comfortable, maybe is the word.
Yeah. But you understand why they would cast Liz Slade and, why they would come up with the idea for Sarah Jane?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I really like her. Just their dynamic isn't perfect for sure. It's not the wonderful team that is Joe and the doctor.
Yeah, and spoilers, it's not like her with Tom.
What do you mean by that?
Like, her relationship with Tom is what, like, that's the bread and butter right there.
Very different than her relationship with Pertwee.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like it's one of those things where it's just like it's lightning in a bottle. It's in that, like, not to go too much into it, but like it's in that caliber of like a second doctor and Jamie and the third doctor and Katie Marining. It's just like it's just a perfect.
Mhm. I guess I will look forward to that. I'm definitely getting excited for Tom, even though we still got Planet of the Spiders, which I'm excited for. Intrigued by the book that we're gonna do.
Interesting fun fact, Ben.
Yeah.
Talking about Tom Baker. Two little fun facts actually. First one is that according to Wiki again, this is the last Doctor Who story to not have Tom Baker until 1981 in the story For the Doomsday. So big jump.
Is that the Fifth Doctor post regeneration?
That's like the second Fifth Doctor story, if I
Oh,
remember
right, because
correctly.
it still could have a flashback or something.
So like it's a we're gonna get a lot of Tom Baker, man. You're gonna be sick of some. My second one is today a lot of people have been posting photos that he did some photo op. People were taking photos with Tom Baker and he's still kicking, Ben.
He sure is.
Like national treasure.
Somehow.
Even though we're American, we can say that. He's an American national treasure.
Yes. We'll take him. Just don't come here, please. Stay
No,
over there for your own good.
please break the curse. America has killed enough doctors. Okay,
Yes.
we killed Troughton, we killed Pertwee, and of course we killed McCoy. So
We killed McCoy?
that's a joke to the TV movie, Ben.
Ah, okay. I guess speaking of what you were just saying about eventually getting sick of Tom Baker, are you sick of John Pertwee? Are you ready to be done?
I think that like these past two stories, right, even just season 11 as a whole, in a way, it makes sense why Pertwee, Barry Letts, Tan Sticks, why they would go, yeah, we've had enough. You can kind of feel it that like they've been doing it for 4 years now. They're kind of now at the point where it's like they should probably be moving on to do something interesting and new.
The best is behind us.
Get some new ideas into the show. The show needs a little bit of a new flavor,
Mhm.
which of course Doctor Who does so well.
It is a great show that can do that. Alrighty. Anything else, or should we talk about the cliffhangers?
Let's go to the cliffhangers, Ben.
Okay. First one, Agador is what I wrote down. Did you not write anything down, Cam?
I did not write anything down.
The second one is Agador, and the third one is Ice Warriors, and also Agador. Fourth one, the Sonic Lance blows up right next to the Doctor. Oh no. Fifth is Ice Warriors are breaking into the refinery where Sarah and the Doctor are controlling Agador. What's the best one?
I would probably say the cliffhanger with the Ice Warriors, just because Ice Warriors like the first time we see them.
Yeah, be a part three is definitely
That like none of them are great, but like that's the
no.
only one that like sticks to mind.
Yeah. Then what would you rate this story, Cameron?
What would I do? Is this worse than Death of the Daleks? Death of the Daleks has the benefit of only being 4 pots. That's a big benefit, Ben.
Hmm.
Big benefit. It's definitely in that top bottom three of Colony in Space and Death of the Daleks. Screw it. I'm just gonna be a bitch. I'm just gonna give it 5.5, just the same as Death of the Daleks. It's on par. They're both not great, and I both will
Really?
not return to them anytime soon.
What do I rate it? I'm gonna go 5.6. I think I liked it maybe a tiny little baby bit better than you, but I also I think I definitively liked it worse than Death of the Daleks. And of course, the Doctor Who magazine poll, the most recent, is in the 23rd position. It also was in 2014. 2009 and 1998, it was in 22. So bottom three is consistent.
Which I would imagine that would probably line up with it comes out on DVD and people return to it and say, "Oh God, no, this is worse than I remember."
I guess, yeah. I do not think it's better than the Time Monster. Do you think it's worse than the Time Monster? You gave Time Monster a 5.6.
Well, I guess in terms of our rankings, yes. It's like at least the Time Monster is a little
Time
goofy.
Monster is goofy, yeah.
And Goofy is fun. Or at least I shouldn't say fun, but Goofy can be fun. Monster of Peladon is just boring, where the Time Monster is just dumb.
Well, I think that will do it then. We just have one more TV episode, and then we will be reviewing his 90s audio dramas and one of the past Doctor Adventures books.
Ben, do you have arachnophobia?
Yeah, not for 70s prop spiders though, just for real spiders.
Join us next week for Planet of the Spiders, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, follow us everywhere. There's a link tree in the description. Check us out there. And we appreciate all the support you've given us.
Tick tock. goes the clock, Ben.
So I've heard. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Peace.